are going inside and out of it. That's my obligation. You can live.
It's one-sided. That's all I've got to say. Get the other parties in here and have a little debate. Don't come here and do your little.
One-sided. You're protecting a financial interest, and that's fine. You don't live down here.
All right.
I won't have to complain either. I appreciate that.
Well, you got some good. You got some good live feed there, huh?
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Check.
You see what we have to deal with here?
You guys all set?
Hold on one second. I'm good. So we just want to stick them in right here.
I am good.
Ready.
Thank you very much for being here today with myself and Commissioner John Barbieri as we continue to move against this Carregan's Lounge, which has been a place that has caused detrimental harm to the neighborhood with constant criminal activity and violent activities occurring here. 66 calls for police and since January 1st. Of those, 11 of violent nature, 9 of shootings occurring that are permeating and emanating from Carregan's Lounge. I just recently had called for more hearings and meetings on this situation in which we just, on the entertainment license, ordering them to hire police. No sooner than we have another episode that occurred here very late, early in the evening of shooting. Documentation, you all have that, of aspects that's occurring here. This place is not being properly managed. They're obstructive when our police department comes with situations here. They're the only place open. This is within 60 feet of this. And documentation here of what has occurred in the bar and videotapes of that, what's occurred in the bar. So now I'm moving and ordering my licensing director, Attorney Alicia Days, and the License Commission to move to a revocation of any of all licenses here, where they have to go through due process. But this stuff cannot be tolerated. There is no respect, and this is in the name of public safety, and to the residents of this area, and to the safety of our dedicated men and women in blue. But if you look at the litany, and I made sure I gave you all the backup here, of the litany of calls and violent activities that are occurring, coming from this Carregan's Lounge, we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to tolerate it. And to have last night the understanding, not only the mismanagement going on here, but the obstruction of the management team when our police officers responded here. This is attracting a very, very negative element. This neighborhood does not deserve this anywhere here in the city of Springfield, and I likened it to Club Pandora, the old Kickback Lounge. The old Kickback Lounge. We went after it, sanctions after sanctions after sanctions. They did not want to cooperate. They did not want to take responsibility for anything, and individuals were killed there. And I worked very hard with Commissioner Barbieri and Licensing Commission and the neighborhood to shut that place down. I don't care what type of place you have. If you run a good place and you work with and you cooperate with the police, that's fine. But I cannot have these type of dangerous situations occurring from an establishment that puts the residents of this area, my police officers, in harm's way. So you saw earlier what happened when you see people have financial interest in this place that don't even live in the city of Springfield and want to protect their financial interests and would rather see negative activities occur than protect the residents here of the city of Springfield. With that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Barbieri. You have all the information here also, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. So the role of the police to support economic development. We'll work with any enterprising business owner, but you have to have a security plan. Your staff has to notify us. Hopefully they should be trained to notify us before problems get out of hand. The mayor's quoted the stats. It's not just troubling that the incidents have occurred, it's the reported lack of cooperation and deliberate obstruction of the employees of the bar when police come to investigate these complaints. Better camera system, their own security or private police, hiring extra jobs, and then cooperating with the police when we respond, and then having your staff call as early as possible if there's a problem, not having to come in response to either neighborhood complaints or shot spotter alerts. If there's a crowd in the parking lot, then notify the police. Have your staff try to clear it, or call us out here to resolve the problem. We've done numerous deployments in this area at closing to try and resolve the issue. And honestly, the men and women of the Springfield Police Department are working hard to resolve the issues, but it's upon the bar owner. It's a private enterprise. They should be taking positive, proactive steps to enhance their own security so that our men and women can patrol the neighborhoods. At 2 o'clock in the morning, we shouldn't have to sit in the bar at Carregan's every night. They should be out patrolling your neighborhoods where you live. They should be in the Acres, in Forest Park, in the North End, in Mason Square, and quite honestly, driving up and down the streets of this neighborhood to make sure the residents are safe. So we need either a step up here to step up and either get the management and the employees on board, or closing of the establishment. We've had it over and over again with bars. It's either they're on board and they run an up and up business and they make a profit. Yes, occasionally there's problems, or we have symptomatic problems like this where obviously the hot spot, the shootings aren't occurring here to a blind eye. There's not a pot of gold in the street drawing people here. It's attractive because they know that they're not getting 911 calls in regards to their activity. It's attractive because we're not getting the cooperation when we show up to make the arrests. So we need people on board or out. Springfield's a growing city. There's plenty of room here for people to make a profit and run a business. All we ask is their cooperation when they're running that business to enhance public safety. Because I've said it before, Carregan's is not the only parking lot in 33 square miles of the city. And I don't think the taxpayers of the city want us to have to put an army of people here so that these folks can make their money. We want to work with them, we do, but we need them to work with us.
Well put, Commissioner. Please, in the documentation, you can read in the most recent hearing I had about how the management runs this place. Please look at that. You had that, I think that was Attorney Slupchuk or whatever making comments on it's not the bar's fault. Please read this about what is being allowed to happen in this establishment here. And just think back to Club Pandora and the Kickback Lounge, which we constantly had to follow all the due process and protocol, and then finally was able to shut that place down, working with Commissioner Barbieri, my licensing division, the License Commission, and more importantly, the residents of the area who came to see me on this issue. I'll tell you what, we just issued a decision on the entertainment license yesterday. And on my every shift updates, what occurs here? Late evening, early morning, another violent incident in which the management not only didn't cooperate, they were obstructive. That's not right, it's not fair, and as Commissioner Barbieri indicated, our police officers should be out there patrolling in your neighborhoods, keeping you safe and sound, not having to worry about a private property here that is completely out of control. They've proven that they can't run this place. I know they have to face due process, and that's fine. But you just look at the history of this place. The history of this place. 66, the decision is in there. Since January 1st. 66 calls within 60 feet or in the establishment. 11 calls active violence. 9 calls shots fired. And you break it all down there. And then read the decision. And this is just on one incident that we put in there of their management and their security. How there was no follow through there. How there was protection of the negative element that they're attracting down here. That's not fair to the people that live in these homes and these apartment complexes, and I'm not going to tolerate it. A message has to be sent. A clarion call is being sent. Either clean up your act here, which could be too late right now, because I'm asking the proper licensing divisions to move the revocation of any and all licenses on it. But for somebody to stand up here and try to protect this place, when you're putting public safety, people in harm's way, you're putting my men and women in blue, dedicated and brave, in harm's way, and they could go to a call last night, not only no cooperation, obstruction, to let these individuals run the streets. And I wouldn't be surprised once they do arrest them, there'll be repeat violent offenders that were let go by our courts. enough is enough. Enough is enough. You run a good place, I don't care what creed, color, background, you run a good place, that's fine. But to run a bad place, to not cooperate, to obstruct a crime scene for the almighty dollar, as you heard from that individual here, the almighty dollar. He doesn't live in Springfield. He just said, I come here to, he doesn't live in Springfield. As long as his money comes through, it's fine. And I'm sorry if I get a little emotional here, but it's because I care. I care about each and every one of our residents here in the city of Springfield. And I can work with anybody that wants to work with the city. But if you're going to continue to flaunt this and throw it in our face that you could do whatever you want to do and put people in harm's way, we're not going to tolerate it. It's all documented here, and we just issued a decision. So we're going to pursue this. We'll put our case forward. But at this point in time, my move would be to revocation of any of all licenses of this establishment, Carregan's. They do not respect the area. They do not respect the area. And that's not fair to the residents here. They're allowing this mayhem to continue to occur in their establishment and just feet away from their establishment. Not right. Not right. So that's the edict, that's the order, and we'll see everybody when the hearings take place or court takes place on it. But again, look at the history. I got to tell you, it's Commissioner Barbieri and his the crime analysis unit information right immediately on the money, the hearing decisions in here, and just think back. If we're trying to continue with the Club Pandora and the Kickback Lounge, which we continue to pursue. We continue to pursue hearing sanctions after this. And it took us a while, but we finally had to shut down. But what occurred there? 2 losses of life. I don't want to see anybody hurt. I don't want to see anybody killed. And there's just too many calls that are permeating or emanating from Carregan's with incidents going on inside, which you will read, and further stuff will come out, and within feet of their parking area here. Within feet. They're the only establishment open here at that time. The only one. The only one. And you can see that gentleman's trying to pawn it off. Well, it's not them. It's not them. Who is it? Santa Claus?
Let me just ask you, what citizen wouldn't like guaranteed police presence on their property at 2 o'clock in the morning? Am I going to be able to give that to you at your house someplace? To tell the police that we need to be here every evening at 2 o'clock in the morning to take care of a problem in the parking lot, when I would imagine that most folks know that 2 o'clock in the morning, especially on the weekends, our call for volume service is through the roof. We're responding to ambulance calls, we're responding to accidents, we're responding to domestics, we're responding to other disturbances. Again, just unreasonable to expect the police to patrol your parking lot every night at 2 o'clock in the morning to take care of a problem when you're a for-profit business. And my job is to try and provide reasonable expectation and service for your taxes. And again, we want to support economic development, but to expect the police to be on your property every night at 2 o'clock in the morning to police your parking lot, it's just a little unreasonable. And what we see here is that the expectations here have become unmanageable, and the security has become unmanageable, and it's given rise to the incidents that the mayor said. Numerous statistics of crime. 5 people shot in this parking lot this year, or in this area. Just unacceptable.
How long has the business been here?
Carregan's itself, the old ownership, which dates back years ago, was a very well-run establishment, if you think back years ago. So the name under Carregan's has been here for a number of years. This is new ownership and new management that these issues have cropped up within the recent few years. But this has really become a hot spot, troubled spot area. So again, when you look at it, and there's more to come out. Investigations are occurring now. When somebody to say, well, it has nothing to do with the bar and nothing's happened in there, they're full of you-know-what. They're full of you-know-what. And I'm not going to say after the fact, but Jesus, Sarno, Jesus, Barbieri, what did you do about it? We've been taking proactive steps. And now it's gotten to the point in time that we're getting no cooperation. Last night, they were trying to obstruct an investigation scene. So it's time, you know what? Time for them to get out of Dodge. Period. I know there's due process, but You know, I want my brave and dedicated men and women in blue to be out there patrolling every nook and cranny of the city of Springfield for our residents. I hear from the residents, it's not fair to the residents here what goes on. This is the only place open at that time frame. The only place open. I don't want to see anybody get hurt or killed, but God forbid it's an innocent person. Then they're going to say, what did they do about it? Nothing. What did you do about it, Sarno? What did you do about it, Barbieri? Well, you know, we care and we love our city. Run a good place, you'll have no problem with my administration. You're not going to run a good place? I think it's proven that you're going to have a problem with my administration. So, the proof's in the pudding, all the documentation is there, the recent decision that just came out, the calls, the synopsis is there, but I think you'll see in further hearings or court things some specifics when they can be released of the complete and utter mismanagement here and the obstructing police and investigators that are here on scene, where there's stuff occurring in there, and we have their videos, or within feet of their establishment. It's got to stop, and it will stop. Thank you very much. If I have any questions. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Al.
Yep.